Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. This is JR, founder and CEO of Social Market.
Hey, my name's Leon Hitchens. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Social Market.
Yeah, and we're back with Social Ledger Report. We were kind of just talking about America kind of doing its best to be first in this crypto adoption and innovation place around the world. Well, China, kind of doesn't like what's happening. So this is from Crypto Slate. China quietly prepares the yuan stablecoins as 99% of supply is minted in dollars. Beijing's first roadmap on the yuan-backed tokens could challenge dollar dominance but faces capital controls and global skepticism. So I think that title and the subheadline kind of just encapsulate my point here where they're quietly trying to release this stable coin into the market, which 99% of it is supplied with dollars. So it's kind of revealing the fact of how dominant the dollar is currently, but I really don't think it'll be dominant forever because it's losing its value year by year. But the point here is China, a country that really doesn't like crypto. It doesn't like it when people have control of their own money or some what would consider bare minimum freedom rights. So I'm not surprised seeing that they're kind of seeing the trend where crypto is heading, and it's really there to just upgrade the financial system as we know. So them
Yeah,
releasing a
because
stablecoin kind of validates everything.
didn't they ban like Bitcoin mining again? Like they are constantly banning mining. They're constantly bringing it back. Like I think
Exactly.
their currency is manipulated pretty heavily. Everyone knows that. Like they see it every day with their real estate market, like kind of teetering. They inject money in all the time. No different than really sometimes the United States government. Their manipulation is just a little more bold. Nobody
Perhaps.
trades in their currency. Nobody trades really in rubles. The Russian currency. Like everything in trade is always through U.S. dollars. Like I could see them not going to Chinese currency or Russian currency. I could see crypto becoming the currency. Like I could see something backed to the U.S. dollar. And the reason the U.S. dollar is the United States military backs it up in them. It's that I think that's really what its value is. So as
Yeah.
long as that stays there, the U.S. dollar is going to be dominant. Every empire has to fall, like
Well, it's
obviously,
not
but
just the military, but it's also its allies like the
yeah,
European Union, Britain, you name it. They're all kind of backing the dollar, and through the domino effect, eventually the country that is the U.S. and the military. It's really interesting to see, and this proposal that is making the yuan more common in the global commerce is interesting because, as you know, BRICS, what is it? It's Brazil, Russia, India, and then C is for China, and then S is for South Africa. These
yeah.
countries are really kind of forming a coalition to dethrone the dollar. So I'm kind of interested to see how that develops. I would have assumed BRICS would have come together to kind of back a coin that is a stable coin, but this is more of just China taking the initiative. And maybe, who knows? I don't even know what it's going to be called. Maybe it's going to be the yuan coin or something. If it does well, then I can definitely see the BRICS, coalition taking this influence and just this use case that succeeded with China and applying it for a BRICS token. That would be my speculation. It's really hard to say right now what could happen, but it's really interesting that China is doing this because again, it's banned crypto God knows how many times, but they're now pioneering a state-backed stablecoin. So
Yeah.
the key takeaway here is if you haven't bought Bitcoin today, this month you need to start buying Bitcoin. People are already seeing the influence and even countries like China. So that would be my key
Yeah,
takeaway.
well, you've got that, and then on the flip side, you've got states now issuing their own stable
That's
coins.
right.
So we have Wyoming rolling out their own stable coin. They're calling it Frontier Stablecoin or Token Stablecoin. First U.S. state to do it. Wyoming seems to be really heavy into crypto. They've always kind of done this. They're fully collateralized, 102% reserve requirement, so it's super like stable. It's going to empower their citizens and businesses with a modern, efficient, and secure means transaction in digital age. It's going to support Wyoming's education fund, so any like money I guess they make off of like transmitting money it's going to help that. There's also supposedly a built-in section for like public meetings, public input, and that should be pretty interesting. And then it's all Solana based, and it's going to be on Kraken in the coming days. So
So
really,
interesting.
really interesting on this front. Like, I'm kind of shocked that Wyoming was the first, and also like that they're pushing it so heavily. I know it's going to live across all of their blockchains, so like it interoperates with Ethereum, Solana, Arbitrum, Avalanche, Polygon, Optimism, and Base. So it's by like the zero layer in there. It also means it's just easier to scale, the flexibility is better, and then it's also got a bunch of different integrations across the board. I think it makes a ton of sense for states to kind of do this, especially if it's going to let them do everything in a more digital way that's on a blockchain that's not really able to change. There's a lot less possibility for fraud. Like, in the end, it could be pretty good. The one part, again, is like fraud can still happen. It just has to happen off the blockchain, and somebody fudges some numbers and gets that on the blockchain. Like, how do you prove the fraud then?
Well, fraud is going to happen anywhere, anytime, not just with crypto. In the lifetime that I've been with crypto since a few years ago, I've seen everywhere disregard crypto or just outright dismiss it because it's like a scam only place or technology. But the same could be said about anything, like the internet back in the days before my lifetime. You hear stories and you see cases where the internet was kind of like this criminal enabled system where people could just use it to talk and, I don't know, do legal things. But
Yeah,
you know,
I don't know. Everything starts with crime and porn. Like,
yeah.
that's really when mass adoption of crypto in the adult industries there. I think we're going to be pretty safe. Now, one last
Yep.
stable coin I want to mention because I think it's interesting that MetaMask is doing this.
Oh yeah.
MetaMask is rolling out their own stable coin built in there. It's the first self-custodial wallet to launch a stable coin. They have a lot of big plans with it.
So
but
interesting.
I think it's gonna be just really helpful for them. Like, it's kind of like the first step to like becoming a bank in a way. So they built with Bridge, stablecoin on there. It's a Stripe company, so kind of interesting. Maybe Stripe will have all these stablecoins that are really interoperable. It's on ramps, off ramps, swaps if you need to bridge it. It just makes everything easier. It's going to be later this year that they're pushing it out, and overall, I think it's a really great way for them to just kind of push into being kind of like the new age bank. That's really what all of these providers are doing.
Yeah, I don't remember, but there was this one piece of legislation that went along the Genius Act. Something about banks. I know Brian talked about it several times in the Sean Ryan episode, but and it's fresh in my mind. That's why I'm mentioning that one episode. But does this make MetaMask a neo kind of financial business where it's like you have banks and they distribute banks distribute dollars, I guess, and they're more traditional finance systems or enterprises. But I think with the new Genius Act, it's supposed to give some sort of limitations if you are now provisioning stablecoins or tokens maybe. So what I'm trying to say is, MetaMask might have to comply with new regulations because of them becoming a stablecoin issuer.
Yeah, so the stablecoin really, all the laws that I know that are out there, and they're still kind of being unpacked in all these bills on what it means for every company. But my understanding is the stablecoin issuer has to have like strict reserve requirements. It's like 100% of it, or like 102 in the Wyoming one. But they're not able to like lend against these customer deposits. They're just not doing that stuff. That's the key differentiator from banks. Banks will take $100 and only keep $30 on hand. The other 70 they go invest and make money. The only way that they're making money is by the transaction fees, and that's small parts through the whole system. They're not like going and lending that money. They have to have like big collateralized parts to them. So it itself is not a bank, but it is falling under like the money transmitters, payment license, all that stuff with the FinCEN that you have to deal with. That's what it would follow under. I would say a wallet like MetaMask issuing a stable coin, man, that's blurring the lines. What is a bank from Wells Fargo to MetaMask? Like,
Kind of.
it's they're
So
pretty close. Like the only difference is they're just not going to lend you money now, or you won't get a loan from them, but you could go buy Bitcoin and get a loan that way.
Yeah. I mean, you can always use well, not always, but only recently can you use Bitcoin as collateral again for loans. While you were talking, I was looking at the Genius Act a little bit and kind of just reading what premise or what jurisdiction MetaMask would fall in now that they're technically a stablecoin issuer. So in the Genius Act, there's a couple of key points here, but I'll just keep it simple for y'all. So they have this permitted issuer status now where only quote unquote permitted payment stablecoin issuers like MetaMask now can legally issue stablecoins in the US. This means MetaMask, through its issued partner being Bridge, they must be registered and approved by the federal or state levels under direct oversight. Once MetaMask USD or MUSD outstanding supply exceeds 10 billion, only the federal supervision is allowed. But the full reserve, to your point, so every MetaMask USD coin must be backed one-on-one by the dollar or short-term treasuries, not just algorithmic assets like USDT, like Tether. On a monthly cadence, public reserve audits are mandatory and the assets must be highly liquid and low risk. So they do get audited. So through the Genius Act, they must be registered and permitted. So I guess they need to go through a registration with FinCEN or something. They must maintain a one-on-one cash or treasury reserve with public monthly audits, and they must ensure robust compliance, redemption rights, and data privacy, or they risk to losing their license or being allowed to issue stablecoins. So it's kind of interesting because they're kind of like the first of their kind of self-custody wallets, but it's really interesting seeing how they're pushing past being a self-custody wallet to now just being an issuer. So who knows, maybe they have big plans. They're playing 4D chess. Probably their executive team is thinking like 20 years ahead of the future, and they're saying, hey man, if we are now issuing stable coins, that could open the door for several other things in the future, which could help them with the profits or with their market size, dominance, you name it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see as all of this stuff rolls out. I think over the next really 6 months to a year, we're going to see what these companies have visions for.